Hello there, I am Tavishi Singh and this is my channel Creative and Professional Writing Skills. Tell me, how do you feel when you prepare that essay or in fact any write-up with research and hard work and you submit it to your teacher and you get only an average grade? Bad? Yes. You must remember the good old trick given by your teachers from time to time, which is revise before your submission. You must revise and edit your work before submission. So today we will learn how to revise, edit and proofread your work. Now editing is done once you have written your first draft. Editing means to prepare written material for publication by correcting, condensing, or otherwise modifying it. Good editing can transform a mediocre piece of content into something great. It's one of the most important aspects of the writing process, but a surprising number of writers underestimate its value. Always remember that the work which is not edited shows poorly on your language skills. Editing is designed to improve the overall quality of written text. It includes restructuring sentences, enhancing language use, and also ensures that the arguments are coherent. Becoming a good editor of your own work takes time and practice, but it's worth it. You will learn how to improve the structure and style of your writing, communicate more clearly, and eliminate grammatical errors in this video. Now, are you ready to become a better editor? You may not have access to a professional editor, but you can use the following tips to help you edit your own writing more effectively. Self-editing is a key part of the writing process. It can transform average content into great content that people love to read. As you become more aware of your writing strengths and weaknesses, your editing skills will also improve. Now let's have a look at how to edit. Now first of all, you will write your first draft. So we assume the first draft is already there in your hands. So point number 1, read your writing in a new format. If you have typed it, print it out. Alternatively, convert your Word document to PDF format or change your text to a different font, color and size. These techniques will help you see your content from an outsider's perspective and give you a more critical eye. Then number 2, take a break. Let your writing sit for overnight. Putting a literal distance between you and your work also creates an emotional distance. So when you return to it, you are more likely to spot awkward phrases and obvious mistakes. Sometimes it happens that you've just penned out an article and immediately you won't be able to see its shortcomings. So we should let it sit for a while and then we should get back to it in order to edit it. Point number 3, read it out aloud. To discover the rhythm of your writing, read it out loud. The best writing sounds smooth. So if you find yourself stammering through poorly worded sentences, you know it needs improving. So that is the little tip there. Point number 4, remove uncertain language. What it means is good communication sounds authoritative. So avoid wishy-washy sentences. If you use phrases like seems to be or could be a reason for, you sound indecisive and it weakens your message. So your message should be kind of firm and authoritative. Point number 5, avoid repetitive phrases. Yes, this I've told many times in my class. To my students, I keep telling we should avoid redundant words and sentences and any repetitive phrases. It makes your writing look very, very boring. Try not to rely on certain words or phrases to make your point. Readers will notice when you repeat yourself. Aim for variety and make use of synonyms. Go for that thesaurus lying in your cupboard somewhere, or make use of phone apps. There are so many apps these days which will give you synonyms immediately on your screen. So make use of synonyms, and this way you will increase your vocabulary as well. Eliminate filler words. Use your word processors, find functionality to research for there, here, and it to find redundant words and phrases. For example, if you see the sentence, it's fun to edit your own writing. Now, here the sentence formation weakens the writing with unnecessary words that lack focus. So, when you say editing your own writing is fun, now this sentence is more effective. So it's not about right and wrong. It's about what looks more effective, what makes your writing look more polished. Point number 7, remove weak to be verbs. Now, using versions of the verb to be can weaken the words that follow. Replace am, is, are, was, were, been, and being. These are the being to be verbs with stronger alternatives. For example, if we look here, this is a weak sentence. They were not enjoying the editing process. But if we say it the other way, they hated the editing process. Now this is a strong sentence. And the stronger sentence would be the editing process repulsed them. So you see the use of words were not enjoying, hated, and repulsed. Look at the change in the vocabulary. All the three sentences are conveying the same meaning. However, sentence 3 is the stronger sentence out of these three. Point number 8, remove weak adjectives. Now, weak adjectives also spoil your writing. When describing nouns and pronouns, use more powerful adjectives and avoid the words really or very. These words make your work look like you're not in primary section. Okay, so you need to show off your vocabulary here. So instead of using really or very, use better adjectives. Let's take a look at the examples. He was really scared of snakes. Then the same sentence in other words, he was terrified of snakes. And the best sentence, snakes terrified him. So here you see how we have avoided really. Likewise, you should avoid very. Rather than saying very beautiful, you may go for gorgeous. Okay, so that could be one way. Point number 9, separate your editing tasks. If the thought of editing your own work terrifies you, break down the task into series of manageable steps. That is, divide your work. In the first read, you check that your idea and flow of the article is proper and it is logical. In the second read, you can look for the sentence structure, that you can make sure that your sentences are structured properly. There are no errors in that area. And in the final read, you can look for the spellings which have been spelled wrong. You can check for the punctuation or maybe the capitalization errors. So just follow these tips and you should be able to edit your own work. Now here's a checklist to edit. So as discussed already, that you may divide your editing work into parts, and part by part, in the first read, second read and third read, you can do various things. So let's have a look at the checklist. Number 1, big picture edit, or maybe you can call it the first read. Now here, points to keep in mind are as follows. Basically, you ask these questions to yourself, and if the answer is satisfying, then you may go ahead. If the answer is not satisfying, then you need to make changes accordingly. So number 1, do you have a strong introduction that hooks the reader? Are you basically introducing your topic clearly, which hooks the reader, which creates the interest in the reader? Does the content flow logically? Are the things sequenced in a logical order? Does the ending sum up your main points and include a call to action? So basically, is the message that you're trying to give is conveyed properly or not? In the second edit or the second read, you may ask these questions to yourself. Are there any sections where you repeat your ideas? So you have to check on those. If you're repeating your ideas or repeating the words, then you need to take an action on that. Does each paragraph contain just one topic? Yes, in my paragraph writing video, I've discussed about paragraph writing, and each paragraph should have just one main topic, and the opening line is topic sentence. So you can just make sure during the second read that each paragraph is containing only one main idea. Next question to ponder over is, are big chunks of text broken up with subheadings and paragraph breaks? And finally, do you use data, statistics and quotations to back up your points? So these are basically data, statistics and quotations are, you are using them to support the main idea, and you just got to see to it that you've used them properly. In the third edit or in the third read, you may check the following points. Number 1, do sentences vary in length? Is all spelling and punctuation correct? You should also look for any capitalization errors, that you've not put unnecessarily capital letters in the text. Then next one, can you replace weak verbs and adjectives with stronger words? So here need to take out your thesaurus. Assuming that editing is clear to you now, let's move on to proofreading. But first, let's understand the similarities and differences between editing and proofreading. Now, editing and proofreading are different jobs and are designed for different stages of the revision process. Editing provides an opportunity to make your writing better, whilst proofreading is a final check to ensure perfection before publication. So, you can edit any of your writing before submission, but proofreading is generally a final check before it goes for publication. Now, if you look at this picture here, editing, it says it's a process of revising the content, organization, grammar, and presentation of a piece of writing. While proofreading is checking for accuracy in a piece of writing that is nearly complete. It includes checking smaller details of grammar, spelling, and punctuation. So, proofreading is a part of editing, but editing is much more than proofreading. There's this another picture. If you look at the points for the proofreading is done on a computer. These days it's become very, very convenient to proofread your work. Spelling is corrected, grammatical errors are corrected, vocabulary is improved, small errors will be corrected to improve the flow. A track document will be provided to show all changes. So computers indeed have made our lives quite easy. Editing is done on a computer or can be done on a hard copy documents. Spellings are corrected, grammatical errors are corrected, vocabulary is improved. A track document will be provided to show all changes. Style consistency is checked. Facts are checked. For example, dates or web addresses amongst others. So here editing is much more than proofreading. It is different than proofreading in these aspects. The flow and quality of writing is improved. Editors may often rewrite entire paragraphs or omit paragraphs for either repetition or for good flow. Potential issues are brought to the attention of the writer, whether it be legal issues or points of confusion amongst others. Moving on to proofreading. Now, proofreading is the process of reviewing the final draft of a piece of writing to ensure consistency and accuracy in grammar, spelling, punctuation, and formatting. It means carefully checking for errors in a text before it is published or shared. So once again, proofreading is the step just before the publication. Anything which is published has to be proofread first. It is very last stage of the writing process when you fix minor spelling and punctuation mistakes, typos, formatting issues and inconsistencies. Just to go into a bit more detail, the proof in proofreader comes from the publishing term describing an early printed copy. Traditionally, typesetters would arrange letters, tiles onto large plates that are then used to print pages of a book. But before they started churning out thousands of copies, a proof version was sent to the publisher for a final check. With modern digital publishing and computerized printing methods, proofreading is now usually done on a computer, though some proofreaders still prefer marking up physical copies. So that was for your information. So proofreading is important because it allows your narrative to shine through uninterrupted. What's more, it adds a level of professionalism that is absolutely necessary if you are practicing formal writing. Hence, editing and proofreading are a vital part of the publishing process. Now let's have a look at the tips for effective proofreading. Number 1, proofread backwards. Number 2, place a ruler under each line as you read it. So just that you do not get confused. Number 3, know your own typical mistakes. This is if you are proofreading yourself. Proofread for one type of error at a time. So when you're checking for spellings, just look for spelling errors. When you're checking for punctuation, just look for punctuation errors. Likewise, when you're looking for capitalization errors, just look for capitalization errors. And likewise. Point number 5, try to make a break between writing and proofreading. This point we've already discussed in editing also. You should never immediately sit to edit or proofread your work after you have formed the draft. You should let it sit overnight. Leave it. Take away thoughts from that, and probably next day is the best time to edit and proofread it. Proofread at the time of the day when you are most alert to spotting errors. And finally, proofread once aloud. So this point also has been discussed before. When you read it aloud, you come to know, like if you're able to read fluently, smoothly, then your write-up is good. If not, then changes needs to be made out there. Now here, look at the slide. In your academic writing, you will be submitting a lot of essays. So here are some tips to revise your college essays. Basically, first one, find a quiet place for proofreading. Decide which media you want to use to proofread your essay. Proofread in part first and then the whole text. Check your paper category by category. Make sure you get college or university names right. Yes, this I've seen while checking the assignments. Sometimes the college name would not be right. Sometimes the subject name, academic writing itself would be, misspelled. And sometimes the name of the professor to whom you are submitting would be spelled wrongly. So this shows very poorly. So please make sure that you get the college name, university name, or your subject name, topic name, all these things properly spelled out. Cover all lines except those you are reading. Make sure your college essays are stored securely. Use your spell checker. Read a printed copy. Read your essay out aloud. Read your text backwards. Now this really helps to figure out the problematic areas. Ask friends or family to help proofread your work. This is also called peer editing, wherein you may share your work with your friend in order to have their perspective as well. Choose only a few people to proofread a document. Use online sources to check the rules. Now these days we have Grammarly, we have plagiarism checker, we have spelling checker and so many other apps. So please make use of those apps. Put yourself aside from the paper you have written for 24 hours. Alternatively, you can choose a professional proofreading and editing service. Well, the last one I would not suggest. You all are learning all of it in your academic writing classes. So try and become a good editor yourselves. Now, there are some clips of proofreading and editing done, so you can just have a look and just to have an idea how to go about it. This is just for your reference. There's yet another one. I don't know if you can read the answers below the line here, but just try and finding out mistakes in this one. There's this practice paragraph, and for the proper practice I have lined up a few exercises for you after this slide. Okay. Words or groups of words printed in italics, each of which has been numbered. These numbers are printed below the passage, and against each, 4 words or group of words are provided which can substitute the word in printed italics. Select the choice which can correctly substitute that word. Read the passage below, then answer questions about errors in the passage. So basically, these passages are given, and the words which are italicized, there is some error there, and you need to choose the best option out of the options given down. So please, you can just pause the presentation here and go ahead with your exercises. So like this, I have got at least, I think, 3 exercises like this in the same manner. 5 exercises to be precise. Okay, so you take your time, and in the end you will find the solution just to cross check. So you can just cross check your answers. Don't jump to the solution page straight away. In my previous video, I had put the solutions after the last slide. However, many students did not notice that and they faced some problem. So this time I have placed the solutions before the last slide. And last but not the least,
thanks for watching the video.
Thank you very much for watching.
If you liked it, please subscribe and share.
If you liked it, please
Thank you
share
very much
and
and
subscribe.
have a great day.
Have a great day. Thank you very much.